Are you ready to hear a story that will give you goosebumps? If you are, hit that like button to boost your courage, share to warn your friends, and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any chilling tales from us. Now then, let the story begin. Closure is a funny thing. It's something I've searched for in therapy, drugs, liquor, rehab. I've ridden every merry-go-round and spun every roundabout. I don't think closure is something you can work towards, nor something given with grace. I don't think there's a rhyme or reason. I think some people just get it, and others just don't. I'm a part of the latter. When I was 12, I found my father in pieces, literal pieces. The shotgun blast had blown a crater in his face, spreading his eyes apart and decimating his nose. My mouth was agape, and I could feel the sharp air escaping my throat, yet I couldn't hear myself scream. Everything went silent, as if I was special enough for the world to stop turning, for every noise to shush and mourn. 15 years later, I still haven't found a vice that erases the sight of his face, like a scarlet cave, and the cherry on top, never knowing why. I always heard people say they never saw the signs, and I'd foolishly wonder, how? You know when someone's physically hurt, how can't you tell mentally? Yet my father, who golfed with his old college buddies on weekends and had just received a horse-choking Christmas bonus, had felt worthless enough to swallow the barrel of a 12-gauge. But what puzzled me more was how he could leave me without at least telling me why. I wondered if it'd even satisfy me, but at least I'd be able to draw a conclusion. All I was left with were broken pieces that don't fit back together. After nearly graduating with a master's in journalism, I showed up to graduation so drunk I needed my stomach pumped thereafter. Friends, who soon became strangers, told me I'd pissed myself on stage before puking on a humanitarian charity founder who was receiving an honorary doctorate. My diploma was revoked and I was barred from ever returning to campus premises, and that only sent me spiraling further into my addictions. With nothing but empty sticky bottles and unused writing skills, I wasted days drowning in my sorrows, my father's face behind my eyelids with every blink. He was in every dream, every memory, every thought. I'm addicted because Dad killed himself. I lost my degree because Dad killed himself. I have no friends because Dad killed himself. I was stuck in a cycle of self-pity that nobody else around me cared to indulge in. I didn't blame them. Why would they? After flipping burgers at McDonald's for 2 years, I was fired after getting caught buying LSD behind the building while on my break. With no college degree, unused writing skills, and expensive habits, I took to a different kind of freelance writing. Are you seeking closure? Didn't get the truth from a special someone gone too soon? Email me at redacted.com and have the final goodbye you've always needed. If I couldn't help myself, I thought maybe I could help other people, while making a quick buck in the process. Business started slow, the inbox receiving mostly spam and trolls lacing their emails with viruses. But soon enough, real commissions began to come in. My son, Brandon, hung himself in his bedroom closet. He was 17, and the star pitcher on his high school's baseball team. They found pills in his system too, but I guess we didn't have enough. He loved bad action movies that I always sat through anyway, and skateboarding with his cousins. Can you please just tell me it's not my fault? Can he tell me that? Initially, it felt invasive. The degree I didn't get wasn't in psychology. I was aiming to be a film journalist. Could I actually help these people? Or was this just another one of my ways of sucking blood? Most of all, was this something that would have helped me? I blew the $50 I received for Brandon's note on liquor. Then, I drank it all and cried, smashed the glass, cut my hand cleaning up the shards and cried harder. It felt impossible to escape the labyrinth of hating myself, yet constantly needing to tell myself I was a good person to stay above water. A few days later, another request appeared in my inbox. She delayed the M train for 4 hours while they scrubbed her off. A whole person, their dreams and mistakes turned to paste. I fucking hate her and I miss her so much. Can you just tell me you forgive me for what I said? You don't need to know what it was. She walked out on me for it and delayed the M train for 4 hours, and I think that's punishment enough. Another $50. I bought heroin for the first time and blacked out for 3 days. I'd periodically wake up in the bathroom, my fingertips scraped to ribbons from scratching the grout between the tiles. It was terrifying how euphoric I felt. I'd never been so scared yet so elated in my life. I wondered if my dad had ever tried the same to cope with whatever he was wrestling with. Ever since his suicide, it was hard to look back at him clearly. I knew my memories with him were real, yet they didn't feel true. Did I ever actually know this person? Or did I know all that I needed to? When my email dinged again, I crawled across the wooden floor before climbing onto my desk chair. With a floppy smack to the keyboard, the screen gleamed to life. I'm a coward. That's all you need to know about me. I'd like to say I tried my best, but I don't think that's true. My entire life up to this moment has felt like a failed test run, a botched product waiting for recall. Every day, I walk around wondering if it's my last. Everything in my vision is just something to bash my head against or leap in front of. It feels like there's rust under my skin and I'm homesick in bed. There's no finite remedy. I don't have anything to say, nothing that'd make it any easier for my family. Sent extra for it to be expedited, thanks. My eyes bulged at the $150 commission. When you're an addict, you want money in a way that spans beyond greed. It's starvation, the air that pumps your lungs. When I didn't have it, my chest burned, and when it was within my grasp, I salivated. The only thing better was what it could get you. But as I read over the commission again, my gut churned with unease. I didn't have much info about this person other than their email, but could I have reported this to the police? Was I about to write a letter that didn't have to be written? My shaking hands hovered over my keyboard as I wondered if I should email him something else, sobbing about how my father's suicide ruined my life, or telling him how much better it gets. I always pondered if my dad did it, because he didn't think it would get any better, or if he couldn't handle it getting any worse before it did. Running on a descending timer, but all you know is its tick. Some days, sinking into the shape I'd accumulated in my mattress, I'd felt like I understood him more than I ever had. But I didn't want to die. I just wanted it to stop, which made me realize I always understood him more than I thought. The pointed finger on my screen sat above the accept button on the PayPal offer as I stared without a blink. I could do a lot with $150. Besides, you couldn't help Dad? What makes you think you could help a stranger? After a dry swallow, I clicked to accept the payment, both my soul and my wallet gaining weight. Once I sent the email, I threw up in the bathroom before choking down 3 vodka shots and puking again. I didn't care what I did to my body or what it took to make it hurt. Anything felt better than the pain in my head. Initially, it felt like I was spending blood money, but without a doubt, I soon withdrew the cash and blew it all on an assortment of liquor. Clear in one hand and brown in the other, I took swigs from both while I watched brainless TV, dabbing the spilled whiskey off the side of my mouth with the crumpled eviction warning I'd found on my apartment door that morning. Thump thump! Under the volume of the trashy reality show, I suddenly overheard a banging noise, slow and hearty, probably just construction that'll never get done. Our tax dollars, hard at work. I raised the volume and freed 2 fingers to pinch a potato chip from a nearby bag before eviscerating it in my mouth and washing it down with tequila. Thump, thump, thump. The noise quickly returned louder and more aggressive, its efforts vibrating across the floorboards and through the legs of my bed frame. My head swirling with intoxication, I paused the show, filling the room with silence. For a moment, nothing. Thump, thump. I swiveled toward my closet door, which was practically bouncing off its hinges as something pounded against the inside of it. Blinking like a frog, I rested the bottles on my nightstand and stumbled to my feet before drunkenly lumbering toward the white, chipped door. Hunched in front of it, my eyes scanned it up and down. Am I asleep? My body winced from head to toe as it banged right in front of me. Hello? Look, if you're a squatter or something, I don't want any problems, okay? The place won't even be mine soon anyway. After I finished speaking, silence. Hello? I hesitantly reached for the doorknob. As my trembling fingers neared the cold metal, my eyes widened as it suddenly began turning on its own, screeching as it slowly spun. Before I knew it, the door swung open, its edge smashing against my forehead and knocking me on my ass. I could feel warm blood trickling down my temple as a throbbing sensation clenched my skull. Once my eyes unclenched, they stared, bulged and baffled at the blurry sight of a body hanging from a noose in my closet. The rope creaked as it gently swayed, something gurgling in their crushed throat. With rapid blinks, I attempted to erase what I assumed was a hallucination. But each time my eyes opened again, it was still there, swinging like a wind chime. In the dark, it was hard to fully make out its appearance, but they seemed smaller than the average adult, some kind of logo on his buttoned-up tee. Then, as if tugged with a hook off stage, the body yanked backward and vanished between the rows of clothes. What the actual fuck? As I raised a hand toward the gash on my forehead, something coarse began slithering around my throat. Before I could look down, it cinched my neck, squeezing a wheezy choke out of me. My hands pawed at what felt like rope, which tightened farther while slowly lifting me off the ground. I desperately attempted to rip it off, but its grip was too tight to slip a finger through. Frantically kicking my feet that would soon be off the ground, I noticed the liquor bottles in the corner of my eye. Then,
I raised my leg and used my foot to pull one of them over the edge before shattering it into jagged chunks. Nearly spraining a muscle, I stretched to grab a piece of glass, just barely snatching one before clutching it till my palm bled as I sawed at the rope. Blood pooled in my aching head as my lungs sizzled with desperation, the dense rope hanging by a thread. As my toes severed from the ground, so did the rope, a hissing breath sucking into my expanding throat as I dropped to the floor. I released the shard of glass before gently probing my neck, my eyes darting around for the rope and whoever was holding it, but neither were anywhere to be seen. Hunched over my bathroom sink, I bandaged my forehead and scrubbed off the blood I'd smeared on my throat, revealing the dark purple ring the noose had left. Staring at the bruise, I swallowed roughly and winced. That was real. I know it was. I'm not fucking crazy. Wounds aside, my eyes were bloodshot with their own purple halos underneath. They looked like two snuffed-out candles in my sockets. I tried to remember if Dad looked like that toward the end, but in my mind, it was hard to see his face intact. And once I pictured it, it wasn't easy to stop. Stumbling out of the bathroom, I grabbed my phone and texted my plug, who said he was with a chillin' friend and I'd need to come his way if I wanted to cop. I had never found myself in stranger places than when I became desperate for money. My not-so-proudest moment was when I was high out of my mind in Vegas, twirling in circles on the Strip when I witnessed a woman cry with distress after the engagement ring she'd received minutes prior had tumbled directly through the splits of a sewer grate. After helping the naive, fresh-faced couple retrieve the ring, I abruptly ran off with it in my clutches, the woman's fiancé chasing me for a few feet before she yelled for him to just let it go. For some reason, that time in particular looped in my mind as I waited on the subway platform, my arms crossed tightly against my chest as I stood under a singular flickering yellow light. Metal screeches echoed and leaky pipes ached. A man sat across the platform, slumped and masked by a brown raincoat. I couldn't tell if he was asleep or if his chest was even lifting. My stomach churned with unease as it felt like a blowtorch was raised against my nerve endings. I was sobering up and desperate for otherwise. An incoming train soon roared across the opposite tracks, and through the passing windows, the man was standing and staring back. I struggled to see what was under his hood, a sliver of his face appearing as a deep red blur, chunks dripping from it onto his chest. When the train entered the tunnel, he was slouched again, as if he hadn't budged at all. I clenched my eyes and rubbed them before touching my sore neck, using the pain to ground myself in reality. Jesus, maybe I'm losing it. Near silence filled the subway again, no other pedestrians joining other than I and the man in the raincoat. My chest tightening with anxiety, I opened my phone and searched for the scheduled train times online. Suddenly, through my peripheral, I spotted movement. I looked away from my screen and noticed the man was now sitting upward, hunched over the edge of the bench. You're on public transportation. He's just some guy. Mind your business. Returning my attention to my phone, I searched for my train line before catching another movement. My paranoia getting the best of me, I glanced at the man, who now had his arms extended outward, his wrists bent to face his palms toward me. My brows furrowed with confusion as I chuckled weakly to myself. God, this stop always attracts the weirdest of weirdos. Then, the man craned his hands back and viciously pushed against the air, before I suddenly felt the pressure of a pair of hands against my back. The unexpected force shoved me onto the tracks, my phone shattering to a black mirror as it smashed beside me. Aches blooming across my ribcage, I writhed against the gravel, squealing with each throb. Rolling onto my back, my vision faded in and out, the scarlet-faced man in the leather raincoat appearing and disappearing each time. Help! I instinctively shouted, but there was no one around to do so. Then every pebble beneath me began to shake and hop like Mexican jumping beans before the headlights of the oncoming train illuminated the tunnel. Attempting to lift myself while avoiding electrocution, the train's barreling wheels screeched against the metal tracks. After reaching the foot of the platform, I hopped and just barely caught its edge, my torso throbbing. Somebody, please. As the blinding headlights entered the corner of my vision, I desperately attempted to lift myself onto the platform. My fingertips turning white from pressure, the tip of a black boot appeared before digging its heel onto my hand. I yelped as my grip involuntarily released, sending me into a freefall onto the tracks. The train mere feet from me, it was as if time had slowed, the inches to the ground feeling like miles. At the foot of the platform stood the man, the tips of his shoes dangling over the edge. Then the yellow light swallowed my vision and the metal grating stuffed my ears. Please! I don't want to die! Please! I clenched my eyes shut as my limbs flailed, my ankle knocking into something and prompting another bang throughout the floor. After a few seconds, all that was left were my own shaking breaths rattling in my ears. What the fuck is happening? Trembling in a ball, I cautiously opened my eyes. I was on my bedroom floor, my surroundings wrecked from my panic. Rapidly blinking in disbelief, my eyes darted around the moonlit room, crickets singing through my cracked window. My desk was shifted from impact, my laptop resting sideways on the floor with a new commission flashing in my inbox. In the clutches of my hand was my phone, my plug's contact open with an unsent text half-typed in the bar. Is this my room? Like my actual room? I scattered to my feet, my heart thumping in my ears like a machine gun. Is somebody... What the fuck are you? I shouted aloud. Silence, of course. I plopped onto the edge of my bed and dropped my head into my hands. Jesus Christ, I'm losing my mind. For the rest of the night, I remained curled under my blanket but unable to sleep till the sun crept through my window. My eyeballs were bloodshot and burning from the lack of moisture. My blinking reduced as I feared what I'd see once I opened my eyes again. As the birds chirped through the window, I cautiously sat up in bed, surveying the mess I'd made of my room. When I planted my feet on the ground, they dipped right into the sticky residue of the liquor I'd spilled last night. This is a problem for another time. My chest still aching, I waddled to the bathroom and lifted my shirt in front of the mirror. My ribs were splotched with brown and purple, my throat still bruised as well. This is real, right? This pain is real? I feel it, yet it's still so hard to believe. With folded lips, I squeezed the ring on my throat, wincing as the pain throbbed throughout my neck till I could no more. Am I convinced enough? I increased pressure till I started to cry before dropping to the cold tile. Just keeping myself on 2 feet was draining. I felt surrounded by phantoms, but that didn't deter me from my work once I remembered money wasn't funneling in from anywhere else, and it was going to be hard to find a place to hire me after my last stunt. Holed up in my apartment, I began promoting myself further, like making social media accounts and offering a mailing list. Practically glued to my computer, the same clothes I'd been wearing clung to my sweaty skin, as I was too scared to re-enter my closet. The bruises on my neck and chest weren't just persisting, but appearing to be getting worse, spreading like a purple fungus. For nearly a week, my hands traveled between 2 places, my keyboard and the neck of a bottle. I was cranking out commissions, collecting cash, and hoping to accumulate enough for rent and a liquor cabinet refill. And although the site was initially intended for suicide notes, I started receiving all kinds of requests with financial offers I couldn't afford to turn down. You know when you're driving, and you take just 1 second to look at the radio, and you nearly rear-end someone? It's the same with kids. I was right on the porch, he was 10 feet away on the lawn. I took my eyes off him to swat away a bee. By the time I heard the tires burn, the chalky van with the scuffed license plate was gone, and so was he. All because I couldn't stand a beat. Hindsight only offers the stupidest things. It's insulting. It's been 3 years now, and I know he's not coming home. I stopped dreaming of that. Just tell me that he's safe, please. That wherever he is peaceful. Anything, if it can't be with me. For $300, I told a grieving, directionless mother that her missing son was in Candyland. I felt like a scam artist. I was a scam artist. This wasn't real closure, but if it's close enough to the real thing, how bad could that hurt? Plastic's just as shiny as porcelain, no? I made more justifications than I did drinks, but I was raking in more money than I ever had at the time. 5 to 10 commissions a day would flood in, mothers and fathers, friends and lovers, all begging me to provide them what nothing else has brought. It felt horrible to admit, but there was a strange power to it. After what happened in my closet and at the train station, I was petrified, yet oddly validated. It felt like my work was connecting with something deeper than I could have imagined and something closer to reality than I could have fathomed. While in the middle of writing for a client, I heard a soft knock on my front door. Rubbing my dry eyes, I dragged my socks against the floorboards as I approached the door. Before making my presence known, I leaned into the peephole. Initially, it appeared that nobody was there, but when I looked down, I noticed a young, raven-haired boy standing with his back turned. His hand was lifted to his mouth, crunches echoing down the hall as he gnawed on something. Is this some kind of prank? Hi. Can I help you? I asked through the door. He stiffly retracted his hand from his mouth. I got lost. Is this the right street? His voice was frail, almost monotonous. Where are you trying to go, bud? He paused before raising his hand to his mouth again and taking another chomp of his secret snack. Home, he responded with a mouthful. Okay, where's home? Do you live in this building? My fingertips inched toward the chain lock. Another pause while he dug in for more. As he pulled something with his teeth, I heard a subtle splash against the ground. I got lost. Is this the right street? This isn't right. I stopped reaching for the lock, balling my fist as I feared stepping away from the door. "Look, I'm sorry, kid, but I don't think I can help you. There's a security office in the lobby." His chewing paused as the words left my mouth. A knot forming in my throat, I watched as the boy slowly turned around to reveal his lazy stare and red-stained lips. My bulging eye practically pressed against the glass. My gut churned as he lifted his mangled hand toward his open mouth, which was lined with a row of shattered teeth. With his bloody nubs in his mouth, he used his molars to gnaw at the tender flesh and dense bone, teeth breaking in his mouth and swirling into the mix before he gulped it all down. Then he began to tremble from head to toe, as if an earthquake was erupting inside of him. With twitches and snaps, the boy's torso extended itself upward till his height matched the peephole, his milky eye peering back at me. "Are you my mama?" With a frightened gasp, I jumped backward, my lungs tightening and requiring rapid breaths. "Please, go away!" I shouted. Then the boy started to cry. He released this ugly, drunken cry that sounded like a record scratch. It reminded me too much of myself. My palms clamping my ears, his cries were impossible to ignore. It felt like they were ringing in my head. I can't do this anymore. This isn't worth it. "Mama, Mama!" he wailed with a gurgle. With squinted eyes and plugged ears, I ran to my bedroom before finding my laptop, snatching it off my desk and smashing it against the floor. "Make it stop!" I shrieked as I stomped the computer to pieces. My chest burning with exhaustion, I soon realized the boy's cries had stopped. My eyes darting around the room, I waited to confirm that whatever was happening had stopped. I didn't even know if I had the power to do so. I just knew I couldn't offer my services anymore. The silence both reassuring and worrying, I hesitantly checked the peephole, and with a sigh of relief, the boy was gone. 2 weeks passed. I'd emptied my apartment of bottles and endured the withdrawals before luckily landing a job at a receptionist's desk, which I got after painting my worsening bruises with foundation for the interview. Everything that happened had scared me straight, but not straight enough, as it was hard not to wonder what exactly I had accomplished with those notes. Did I bridge a gap to the afterlife? Was their family seeing things too? The same things as me? Pertaining to the latter, I sure hoped not. But nonetheless, I discovered power in speaking for those who didn't have last words, and whether or not I was playing God or connecting with one, there was one thing I couldn't shake off my mind. Could I use it to talk to Dad? One night after work, I grabbed a piece of loose leaf and pencil before sitting at my kitchen table, staring at it as if words would appear on their own. Writing about other people came with ease, but this had me paralyzed. I didn't know if I should write what I wanted to hear or what I think he would have said. I struggled to even differentiate the two. Ultimately, I forced the pencil to the paper and trusted it to flow. My golden hour, my Sophia. I wanted to give you all the best parts of me and swallow the worst, but I know you would have loved it all the same. I wish I was strong enough to let you do so. Conquer the world, kiddo. You've never needed me to do it. As my teardrops stained the page, rain suddenly began pelting against my window. My head perked up as I dropped the pencil, swiveling around in search of any sight of him. "Dad?" I hesitantly called aloud, feeling silly once I did it. Silence. Then I yelped as something bolted through the window, sprinkling shattered glass across the floorboards. Rain leaking through the cracked hole, I inched toward the projectile that rested amongst the shards. "A golf ball?" My eyes widened. "Dad!" I rushed to the window, and standing in the wet, desolate street was the red-faced man in the brown coat. Of course, he was always the one ghost I couldn't escape. Sprinting downstairs, I threw the exit doors open, the storm immediately soaking me as I searched for him through the droplets. "Dad! Dad!" Thunder roared and lightning thrashed in the dark sky as I searched desperately to no avail. In the corners of my eyes, I'd catch a glimpse of his bullet-chewed face, but he'd vanish at the heel turn. Spinning till I was dizzy and nauseous, I collapsed to my knees in the flooded street, my tears mixing into the rain. "Dad! I'm here! I'm right here!" Clawing at the pavement till my nails ripped, it felt like every memory, every picture of him, was burning to ash in my head. Even when he was on the basement sofa, the barrel of the shotgun crammed into the crimson flesh flower that had bloomed. "I can't see you, Dad! Please, I can't see you!